Hey guys, what's up? Dizzy Nuts here. How you guys doing? So today I'm going to show you how I photographed this. Okay, so this photo was actually taken in 2018, and this is a video I wanted to bring back to this channel because I thought it would be something really cool for a lot of people to be able to do, and questions that have asked of how I was able to take this shot. And the way that this is done is actually using a really shallow depth of field, as you can see here, where the fingers are in focus and everything is out of focus. Now you're probably thinking, what is depth of field? Well, depth of field on your photo means it is what is in focus of the whole shot. So for example, here I have a really shallow depth of field. You can see what's behind me is a little bit out of focus. So I put my hands up here up close. You'll see that the fingers will be in focus, and now my face is out of focus. So that's the effect that we're going to be doing with this photo, and we're going to take a photo of it. The first thing we're going to be using is actually a lens that has a really wide f-stop, and what I mean by that is that the number is really low. For example, 1.8, 2.8, 1.6, whatever you got, the lower the number, the better. So with that case, know that we're going to be shooting either in manual mode or in aperture mode, which allows us to control that setting of the aperture. The next thing we're going to do is actually set our focus points, because as you can see here, we don't want to be able to focus on the whole shot. We want to focus on a specific point. And in this case, the Canon cameras have what they actually have spot focus. So you got to check on your camera how to get it to focus on one specific spot. If your camera doesn't have this, it's okay. You can turn off your autofocus and just focus manually. No problem at all. And the third thing that we're going to do is actually turn off the mode that allows the camera to focus continuously, because once we focus once and we got that focus in there, we don't want the camera to start going back and forth and trying to readjust. So we're going to set this to one shot instead of all servo. Now again, don't worry, we're going to head over there and show you the settings on the camera. So let's head over there. Now the camera we're using is my Canon 80D. And for the lens, we're going to be using my Sigma 17-50, which is the widest stop that I have, which is 2.8. And we're going to make sure it's set up to 2.8. That way we get that really cool bokeh, which is the depth of field, which is what's out of focus besides the fingers. Now as for camera modes, you are going to be shooting it in AV, which is the aperture mode, which means that the dial will control the aperture of the lens. So I'm going to set it to AV, and then using the dial on the camera, I'm going to make sure it's the widest possible, in this case 2.8. Okay, the next thing we're going to do is actually set our autofocus mode, and these cameras actually have three different modes, one being the one shot, AI focus, and all servo. Now my camera, many times it's already on all servo, because what that does is as I press the shutter speed halfway, it's continuously focusing on what the camera sees. But I want to change that to one shot, because many times when we're doing stuff like this where we're trying to focus on one specific little spot, it tries to focus all over the place. So one shot is what we're going to set it up today to make it a little easier. Okay, the next thing that we're going to do is set the camera to the focus point, which means that it's going to focus only on that specific point that we tell it to. In this case, I'm going to use the dot smack center in the middle. That way the camera doesn't try to focus on other areas or zones or anything like that. I want it right in the middle, which is in this case the spot focus.
Okay, so here's the file up here in Lightroom, and let's go ahead and edit it. As you can see, what I was talking about, you see where I actually did the focus right on the tip of the finger, which is where I did my focus point, and I made sure that this was in focus. Okay, then I zoomed out and got the whole image. I usually like to zoom out on photos like this, because even though at the end our result was something which is cropped, I'll never know if I'm going to use it in the future, so it's always best to save this extra space, because you never know if you're going to use it in the future. Okay, so basic settings. I'm going to go here from the top to the bottom. Usually bring down the highlights because it's during the day. Bring up the shadows, maybe not that much. Bring down the blacks. A little bit of exposure here. Yep. And let's go ahead and bring up the clarity. Just a touch, a little color. Again, remember this is a raw file, so it comes out just as it's seen in the camera. That's why it looks so bland. Let's put some sharpening. Leave that as it is, just a touch. And I want to make sure I turn on the lens profile, which will fix the corners. Okay, so nothing really much fancy here that I did on the edit, since it's basically a day shot. Basically, the image itself, it's pretty well. Everything's focused, everything looks good. So again, I just touch the exposure a little bit, just that way her face looks nice but not overblown. Okay, now next thing is the cropping. Here we go. So one thing that I like to use is actually the rule of 4/3, which are these lines here, and I like to put the finger touching one of those tips. That way, there you go. See, a little more. And there we go. So you see, I got usually put the intersection of the lines on what I'm trying to focus. That can either be an eye or a head or a tip of the castle or something like that. There we go. Still looking good. So actually, let's crop a little more tight here. The tip of the finger again on the line. There we go. Now something I want to add here, since these are green top areas, I want to bring out the green a little bit. So I'm going to scroll down here to my saturation, pop the green a little bit, maybe the blue, you know, get the sky a little bluer there a little bit. There we go. And then to kick it off, I am going to actually put some vinaigrette around the image so it focuses on the center, or at least on the dot. There we go. Yes, I'm going to do it. If I go too much, obviously we'll look at that, but just a tad so that the eye focuses on this. There we go. That's our image right there.
Okay, so that's it, guys. Hopefully you liked this video. Hopefully you liked the revamp from the 2018 photo, and hopefully you'll be able to take the shot now that the Flower and Garden is going on at Epcot and here on 2022. If you did use this technique on your photos, feel free to tag me below or put a link to the photo. I'd love to see it and comment on it. And until then, keep your Disney photography awesome. See ya. Bye.